Sorry about that. I had a little distraction. But let me get back on point. Like I was speaking on the name. Name is not Yahweh or anything, but that's just an example of you having to serve another God that you don't even know, or that your fathers didn't even serve. I mean, your fathers did, but these are gods that y'all even starting to make up today. Now y'all believe in the God of I don't know, man. Y'all turning God into anything. Let me just get that scripture out just to give a little edification, because this is literally what y'all people do. Y'all, Israel, I'm talking to Israel. You, all you people out there of Israel, you Negroes and Latinos, that y'all are so simple-minded, man. Y'all worship so many things that y'all don't even know. Just by looking at your car every day with your rims, admiring it, keeping that thing your one priority, that's worship. That's committing idolatry right there. You could turn anything into a god. But this is Isaiah chapter 46, verse 5. To whom will ye liken me, and make me equal, and compare me, that we may be like? They lavish gold out of the bag, and weigh silver in the balance, and hire a goldsmith, and he maketh it a god. They fall down, yea, they worship. They bear him up, or they bear him upon the shoulder. They carry him, and set him in his place, and he standeth. From his place shall he not remove. Yea, one shall cry unto him, yet can he not answer, nor save him out of his trouble. Remember this, and shew yourselves men, bring it again to mind, on you transgressors. And you're not being a man by worshiping all these other gods. If you wake up one day and you start serving a Buddha, and then a week later you change your mind, you want to worship Jesus, there's something not right with you, man. You're not being a man. That's being a bugged out infidel. You're being a bastard. You're an abomination to the Lord. It's just like that. Let me get another scripture. Right here. This is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 27. Saying to a stock, thou art my father, and to a stone, thou hast brought me forth. For they have turned their back unto me, and not their face. But in the time of their trouble they will say, arise and save us. Which is what you're going to do. In that time when you're all asking for help, the Lord's going to laugh at you, but he's going to tell you, let your little rock, let him save you. He should be able to, since that's what you wanted to worship. So, and to prove, yeah, y'all do this. I mean, I don't have to say prove, because y'all do this. But here's another one. This is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 11. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? So all these other nations is actually what you're going off. Like it says, Israel mingled among the heathen, and they learned their ways. They sacrificed them to devils, which is what y'all do. But let me get it back. It says, hath the nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. And the Lord gave us signs to prove that he was the Most High himself. He came, and he didn't come, I'm sorry. I mean, he came, he didn't manifestly show himself, his son did, but he sent signs to us all the time. When he had the manna fall down from heaven to feed the Israelites in the wilderness, was that not a sign to prove his that he was real? But what did y'all do? Y'all said in your hearts, y'all said to yourselves, y'all said to others that you would have rather had stayed in Egypt. That's wicked as hell to say that, especially to say it to the Most High himself. That's like putting your hand in an oven. That's like putting a hot ass pan on your bare hand, because the Lord is a consuming fire. And for you to say something like that against him, when he delivered you out of that slavery, when you were the one who was crying from the beginning, asking for help out of the way, and then you go back and you want to say to him that you would have rather stayed into a land that you were under captivity in. And that ultimately is going off, not obeying the Most High. But to get on point, I'm gonna read you the 5 nations that actually put Israel into captivity. This is a nation of or the kingdom of Assyria first. In 721 BC, Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, conquered the 10 northern tribes. They were deported out of the land of Israel and into the land of Assyria. And to get that scripture, this is let me get it. Sorry about this. This is 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 11. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria, and put them in Halah, and in Habor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant in all that Moses the servant of the Lord commanded, and would not hear them nor do them. So right there tells you perfectly clear as crystal why we were taken into the land of Assyria. Told us because we didn't hearken unto him. And then about 200 years later, we went into captivity of Babylon under King Nebuchadnezzar. This is in 586 BC. Approximately 200 years later, the same fate happened to the three southern tribes when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, destroyed Jerusalem and the temple and led thousands of Israelites into captivity in Babylon. Which, in that temple, man, there was a lot of precious treasures. The name of the Most High was in there too. And then after that, after serving 70 years captivity in Babylon, the Persian king Darius conquered the Babylonians and allowed a remnant of Israelites to return and rebuild the kingdom. Which, if you read the vision of Daniel or the vision of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, but Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and he tried to ask all the wise men of the land to interpret it for him because he said he forgot. And he said that if they didn't, he was going to kill all the wise men and sorcerers and soothsayers, whatever they were. He was going to kill them all out of that land for not interpreting it. And when they were about to kill everyone, including Daniel, who you'll find it in the book of Daniel, because that's what I'm talking about. But when the centurion or the officer goes to Daniel and his two other brethren of Judah, Daniel's like, why is Nebuchadnezzar doing this? And Daniel, or the man, told Daniel, because nobody could interpret King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. So Daniel went away and he prayed to the Most High, hoping that he would get the interpretation, because we know that the Lord reveals the things of secret. That's what this whole entire book is about. Howbeit we don't speak the wisdom of this world, but the hidden wisdom that was from the beginning of the foundation of the world, which was sealed until now. It's all told out in the Bible. But anyways, point is, all these kingdoms, except for the land of Assyria, from the Babylonians down to the Romans, those other nations that took hold of Israel, was told in that vision by King Nebuchadnezzar. When Daniel interpreted it, it told him about the man that had gold for his head. And actually, I have a drawing of it. I mean, because I was watching a lesson of the elders. But I mean, I'll try to show you it. But it said right here that his head, when Daniel described his head, it was a head of gold. And he interpreted it, telling him that King Nebuchadnezzar was that head of gold. Then next kingdom that was to come to reign was made out of silver, which was the Medes and Persian Empire. Then after that, this was brass. And that's another kingdom that Israel went into captivity under, which is actually after the Medes Persian Empire. But this one was made at the chest or not the chest, the lower body and his legs were made out of brass, which is the Greek Empire. Then we go to the legs, which were made out of iron, and that represented Rome. And then you see the feet down here. I mean, you can't really see it right here, but there's a little bit of brown and gray in there. That's actually representing the 10 other divided kingdoms that were to come out of from Rome after it was destroyed. But that's another history. That's another lesson. It's actually beautiful when you learn this stuff, because when I learned this, I was like, what, man? And then if you notice at the bottom, that's my other drawing, or the same one, but right here it describes a stone that was at the bottom of the man, which eventually it smote the image right here that Nebuchadnezzar had dreamed about. This is a man, the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream about. He said it was dreadful because that rock at the bottom, which represents Yahushai, and then ultimately Yahushai's kingdom, the new kingdom that's going to break apart Rome, which is today. He said that the stone was smoting the man. Pretty much he just ground into powder. But all these nations I'm reading to you, when they went into captivity, they're all told about in that vision of Daniel. But let me start back at the Persians, because also if you read in Daniel, when it talks about Babylon being destroyed, there's another vision Daniel has about a lamb and a goat, with a goat and a horn. Actually, I think the goat has two horns, and the sheep. Let me find it, because I don't want to say anything wrong. So let me find it real quick. Hold on. Let me find this. It may take me a minute. I know where it is though, but hold on. All right, it says right here. Okay, it's a ram with two horns and a goat with one horn. But in that vision, the two horns represented the ram with the two horns, which you can find in chapter 8, verse 3, through all the way down to 12. It talks about those animals, but they represented these kingdoms that I'm speaking about. It says, Daniel chapter 8, verse 3, Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. And those two horns represent the Medes and Persian empires. And but then after that, there comes a he goat, and that goat has one big ass horn on its head, between its eyes, and that represents the Greeks, which when King Darius fell and that empire fell, the next nation to reign was the Greeks, which I'm about to read on. But first, it says,